Yo, Fly Free Sports, we back with another one, man. Gonna keep hitting y'all upside the head, man, with the content. Like, share, subscribe, man. Get locked in with me today. We gonna do another UFC card preview, man. UFC 296. We're gonna do that one. So yeah, I'm excited as hell about this card, man. You know, this whole year has just been loaded with fucking amazing cards, amazing fights, great showings from the fighters, man. It's been a fun time, man, to be a MMA fan, man, especially if you went to the UFC. But yeah, I just wanted to give my thoughts about this card coming up. This shit is loaded, like it's loaded, like the whole main card. I'm gonna do all 5 fights on the main card. Um, give you my thoughts on the fights, the fighters, and then pick each one of these fights, man, as best as I can. So yeah, let's get into it, man. The first fight on the card already, man. Come on, man. Vicente Luque versus Ian Machado Gary. I know Ian Gary is like a lightning rod, man. It's like he's one of them guys where either you love him or you hate him. Like a lot of people not fond of his personality, but he's a killer, man, and he's still progressing and growing within the sport, man. He's having a nice rise through the ranks, man. Um Ian Gary's a killer, man. Vicente Luque, the vet. You know what I mean? This is definitely Ian Gary's biggest challenge to date. Luque has been in there with guys that are champions. I think he fought T Wood. He's been in there with who else? Who else is Vicente Luque been in there with? I know he's been in there with a couple champions. I think he just fought Dos Anjos recently. Yeah, I just think I think this is definitely, like I said, Ian Gary's biggest challenge to date. But I think he gets the job done. He's coming off a big destruction. He's coming off the destruction of Neil Magny. Like if anybody saw that fight, he took Neil Magny apart. It was surprising that Neil Magny even made it through that fight the way he got done by Ian Machado Gary. Like, oof, that was a brutal ass fight. He'd have been better off if that fight did get stopped, man. It went to decision, but it was one of those, like, yeah, it was a destruction. So Ian Gary, man, like, I know, like I said, a lot of people don't like his personality, but he's a very, very talented fighter, man. I think he's like that next wave of stars in the UFC. He's definitely in that mold. He's a big Conor McGregor disciple, you know what I mean? Like he's Irish, you know what I mean? And he looks up to Conor McGregor. Yeah, I think he actually does a little work with Conor McGregor too, away from the fighting. But who do I have, man? I think Ian Gary will continue his rise, man. Luque is obviously past his prime at this point, but he's still dangerous. You can't count a guy like that out, man. He's been, like I said, he's been in there with everybody. I think Ian Gary will end up winning that fight, though. I think he wins by decision. I think if Neil Magny can make it through, I say that lightly because, like I said, I don't know how the fuck he made it through, but I think Luque will be able to make it through. I think Ian Gary wins in a decision in 3 rounds. So yeah, that's all I got for that one. Patty the Batty Pimblett is back, man, against the grizzled vet Tony Ferguson. Now, controversy follows Patty. Patty. A lot of people think he lost his last fight to I think it was Jared Gordon. A lot of people think he lost that fight. You know what I mean? So I think Patty is on a mission to prove to people that he is who he said he is, and all the hype that surrounds him and all that stuff. I think he's gonna have a good bounce back performance against Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson has been out of his prime for a long time. I don't think he's been the same since that Gaethje fight. When Gaethje did him how he did him, Tony Ferguson has not looked the same since then. I think he's on like a 5-fight losing streak, like, and none of them were like to a point where you thought he was going to win. But El Kakui, he used to be a monster back in the day. We all know that. But he's so far past his prime, man. And I think this will be his last fight, man. I think Patty comes back with an impressive showing. Of course, like I said, coming off the controversial decision against Gordon, I think Patty's gonna. I think Patty's obviously, I think he's gonna stand and strike with Ferguson a little bit, but I think he'll end it by submission. He's gonna get some kind of submission, man. We know Patty. Patty loves to be, he loves the groundwork. Um, he holds that high chin. He say he gonna fix that. He holds that high chin in his stand up. Say he gonna fix it. We'll see what type of adjustments Patty makes with his stand up. Because he can stand up, improve a lot, in that area. He has good hands. He has good hands, but his technique is a little flawed. Um, I just think Tony Ferguson is too far past his prime to beat somebody like Patty Pimblett, man, who's definitely out to prove something in this fight. I think he'll win this fight convincingly. I don't see Ferguson winning this shit. Like if he didn't beat Nate on his way out, I think he lost to Bobby Green. He lost a lot of fights in a row. Michael Chandler, he lost some pretty one-sided fights, man, here recently. So I think El Kakui needs to hang it up after UFC 296. This is my personal opinion. No disrespect to the legend, you know what I mean? But I think he's had enough. I think Patty Pimblett wins that. I'm gonna go second round sub for Patty. I think Tony will get out of the first round, but I don't see him getting out of the second. So that's what I got in that one. Ooh, Shavkat Rakhmonov, demon against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Like I said, this card, man, is just Shavkat Rakhmonov is the guy that nobody wants to fight. Nobody wants to fight him. Like it's that welterweight division. Like, it's crazy because like I want to see Shavkat Rakhmonov. The two guys I want to see against each other are on this card, but they're fighting different people. Shavkat Rakhmonov and Ian Gary. I want to see that fight, and maybe it'll be next, or maybe the UFC is kind of building both of those guys up to be like big headliners, and they don't want them to, one to cancel each other out, one to cancel the other out. So I'm thinking, they're kind of putting these guys, they're putting these guys against other guys to build their portfolio, man. Um, Shavkat Rakhmonov is 17-0, man, and it's just been utter destruction of everybody. Like, and I think, of course, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. We all know he's another legend. You know what I mean? Big karate guy, deadly striker. Always been a deadly striker. Very precise. He's a precision striker. Very very good with his kicks. Mixes it up very well. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is a legend in the sport, man. Another guy who's been in there and fought in title fights and been in there with the best competitors of his division and of his time. Um, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and also a good guy, man. Like he's like one of the most genuinely good guys outside of fighting. You know what I mean? Like he's the kind of guy, if you met him, you wouldn't even know he was a fighter. He's like a nice dude, like a genuinely nice dude. You know what I mean? Um, he's coming off of the Kevin Holland fight where they just had like a strike fest. Kevin Holland, for one reason or another, was just content with standing up and striking with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Even let him up a couple times. It was like a weird back and forth, a little respect thing that they had going on while they were fighting. But they were rumbling though, for sure. Like they was throwing some crazy blows, some crazy shots. Stephen Wonderboy, I love Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, man. But going against Shavkat Rakhmonov is a tall task, especially at this stage of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's career. Wonderboy is Wonderboy 40? Is he 40 yet? I gotta look. I gotta find this real quick. How old is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, man? Yeah, he turned 40 this year. He'll be 41 in February. So like I said, past his prime, but he's still deadly. He's still a deadly striker. But going against Shavkat Rakhmonov, that is a tough. That's one of them times. Like if Wonder Boy wins this fight, he's like straight back in the mix in that division for a title. Like hands down, beating the to me, who I think is like a top 3 guy in the division. Yeah, if he gets that done, if Wonder Boy gets that done, he's in the mix at welterweight for sure. Like this, he needs a title fight within his next 2 fights if he wins this, but I don't see it happening. I got Shavkat Rakhmonov winning. Um, I don't know how I got him winning. Uh, Maybe a stoppage in the third. Let's just say a stoppage in the third. I think Wonder Boy is obviously game. He's gonna hang around with it, like I said, with his striking. Um, Rakhmonov is just so diverse, man. Like whether he's on the ground, stand up, whatever. Like I seen him choke motherfuckers to sleep standing up, dropping them. Like he's a bully, man. He's a bully, bro. So I got Shavkat for sure. So these are I'm also probably do a parlay for this, and I'm gonna rock out. I think I'm pretty sure on all these picks this for this card. So yeah, I got Shavkat in that one. The co-main, Alejandro Pantoja and Brandon Royval. Pantoja was just in one of the biggest wars. I believe that was like his 3rd or 4th fight with Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno, obviously, like one of my top 5 favorite fighters in the UFC. They just had a brawl. Pantoja has won every single fight against Brandon Moreno. Coincidentally, like it's kind of hard to believe that somebody could be that dominant over somebody who's as good as Brandon Moreno is. But Alejandro Pantoja is the real deal, man. Alejandro Pantoja is the real deal. Brandon Royval, always exciting. You know, I know he had the little spat with the UFC, saying he should never be on a prelim card ever again. He's on I think a 2 or 3 fight winning streak. I'm not sure. I think like 3 fights. I think he's on a 3 fight winning streak. I'm pretty sure of that. But Pantoja, man, he just got the title. This is his first defense. I think he'll be locked and loaded and ready for whatever Royval has to throw at him. This is going to be a slugfest, though. Make no mistake about it. It's a perfect co-main event. This is a perfect co-main right here. Brandon Royval, like I said, always game. He's going to come to fight. That flyweight division is getting pretty crazy, man. I know Davison Figueiredo just went up to bantamweight, so he cleared it out after his trilogy. Did he have a trilogy with Marino, or he fought him 4 times, something like that? I don't lost track. They didn't fought so many fucking times. I think he had like a 4 fights. He had 4 fights against Brandon Marino. But he's in like I said, he's in the bantamweight division now. So these guys left, man. Alejandro Pantoja and Brandon Royval. I do have Pantoja winning in his first title defense. I think he'll outstrike him. I think he'll outpoint him. Do I have it going? Do I have it going 5? I guess I do. I said he will outpoint him. So damn. Either it goes to decision, like I said, he outpoints him, or I think he'll end it in the 4th or 5th round. I think that's gonna be that. I think that's what's gonna happen in that fight. I don't see Pantoja losing his first title defense, and he's extremely motivated, man. I do think him and Marino will end up fighting again. As crazy as it sounds, I know they fought 1,500 times, but I do think they'll end up fighting again. So I got Pantoja in that. On to the main event of the evening. Leon Rocky Edwards, man, against Colby Covington. Now, Colby Covington, I'm not a fan of Colby Covington whatsoever. I don't like his whole shtick. You know, he's just kind of corny. But the kid is a hell of a fighter, man. Hell of a fighter. I know he was with American Top Team for like 9 years before he left. Superb wrestler, grappler. And he's a very good. I know a lot of people don't really talk a lot about Colby striking, but he's a very good striker, man. Like, you know, he. I mean, for the amount of attention that his striking gets, he's a very good striker, man. He just happens to be going against the champ, who I think is a little bit more rangy. Um, he's just Colby Covington to me is kind of like what Max Holloway is in his division, in the featherweight division. Like he's better than like 95 or to 98% of the division, but if you put him in front of Leon Edwards or Kamaru Usman, they're gonna beat him. But I think he beats everybody else though. You know what I mean? Like he's just that guy. Um, it's kind of hard to say because like I said before, you got the up and comers with Shavkat Rakhmonov and Ian Gary. They're on the rise. So I'm sure at this stage, this is pretty much all or nothing for Colby. If Colby doesn't win the championship in this fight, he'll never win it. Like it's just that division is getting deep and he's gonna start declining. He's a little older now. Um, he's been in title fights, you know what I mean? He's got all the experience in the world. If he doesn't cash in on this opportunity, I think this is pretty much it for Colby. As far as being a championship contender, not fighting, because he can obviously fight and beat guys, that are in the top 10. But at 35 years old, this is pretty much his last shot at UFC gold. And I think he's aware of that. Leon Edwards just coming off back-to-back fights against Kamaru Usman, where obviously the first one he fucking kicked his lights out, and then the second one he ended up getting a decision in a fight that he clearly won. I think Leon is probably the most battle-tested guy in the division, man. You look at all the people he's fought, man. Kamaru Usman, he's fought Bilal, Dos Anjos, Cowboy Cerrone. He's even fought Vicente Luque. Just the list goes on and on. Like Leon Edwards is completely battle-tested. He hasn't lost a fight in a fucking long. When is his last fight that he lost? He lost his last fight in 2015. Yeah, and that was to Usman, who he went on to beat twice. So Leon Edwards, I don't think is losing to Colby Covington. I think it's going to be one of the younger guys that ends up catching up with him eventually. But I don't see Colby Covington as good as he is. I don't see him. I don't see him closing that range on Leon. I think Leon's fit more physically strong than Colby is too. And Colby's wrestling is phenomenal. So, to see Colby on the ground and winning wrestling exchanges, that wouldn't surprise me because he's just that kind of guy. I just don't think he's going to be able to do anything substantial to Leon. Like I don't think he's going to be able to overcome Leon's strength and just like I said, he's battle tested. You know what I mean? I think Leon finds a way to stop him. I do think that either the third or fourth round, I think Leon stops him. I think it'll be a TKO. I think the ref will stop it. But I've said this on many occasions. If Colby Covington were to win this fight, it wouldn't be like a super surprise to me either. Like he's that good. He's that good, man. As much as I don't like his ass, he's that good. So this is gonna be a fucking phenomenal card next week. UFC 296. This is like one of the more stacked main event cards that I've seen. I've been looking at the prelims and all that. Like this whole shit it's pretty loaded, man. Let's see what else we got on the prelims. Oh, Josh Emmett and Bryce Mitchell. That was just announced. I think Josh Emmett was supposed to be fighting somebody else, but Bryce Mitchell was stepping in on like 10 days notice. I love Bryce Mitchell, man. Bryce Mitchell is that redneck farmer that live out in Arkansas. Everybody knows him. I mean, he's the redneck farmer that sits at home and shoots fucking deer and does all this shit. Like he's that guy. Got cows and chickens and all that type shit. Like he's coming off a big win against Dan Ige not too long ago in September. everybody made the whole thing where he held up the Bible in the cage, and he wanted to pray with Dan Ige. Bryce Mitchell is a lunatic, man. Like he's like he's the redneck dude you do you not want to run into. And he's fighting the grizzled vet Josh Emmett, who just Josh Emmett he's fought the most let me pull up Josh Emmett, the last 3 or 4 fights that Josh Emmett has had, man. Like it's like, my God, he's been in a gauntlet for like his last 5 fights. He had to let's see. He fought Ilya Taporia. Like, no, I don't even have to explain that. Like, that was brutal. He got his ass whooped. Like, his face was bloodied up. He was a fucking bloody mess, but he made it all the way through though. And he actually landed some good shots on Ilya. Ilya didn't leave that fight unscathed, but to be in that type of war, and then the fight before that, he fought Yair. He got submitted by Yair, but he was still getting pieced up even prior to getting submitted. Like that's the second fight. He fought Calvin Kattar before that. He actually won that one. Dan Ige. Yeah, man. Josh Emmett has fought the top guys in his division. Like he's fought them all, man. Like what else can you say? That was a number one contender fight with him and Yair, which Yair actually won and ended up fighting Volt. But and that one, I got to pick that one too. I think Bryce Mitchell gets it done, man. Bryce Mitchell he's back, man. He's back on the war path after losing that fight to Ilya Taporia a couple fights ago. I think Bryce is going to start making his climb back up, man, and have that trajectory that we once thought he had. Bryce Mitchell, another superb wrestler, grappler. He prefers to be, on the ground, even though he's shown vast improvement with his hands. Bryce Mitchell is a great wrestler. He's a phenomenal submission artist. He actually has one of the few twisters we've ever seen in the UFC. Yeah, Bryce Mitchell he's a monster. So I do have Bryce Mitchell in that fight. I almost forgot about that fight. Damn. I just saw that a minute ago. But yeah, 296 is loaded, man. As you can see, I'm looking forward to it. Gonna be a night of fireworks. Um, what else is there to say, man? Like, share, subscribe. Fly Free Sports. This is my UFC preview for 296. Let's get into it, man. Yes, sir.